It started like any other Sunday afternoon. The kind of day that feels normal. The kind of day you don't expect to remember. The sky was clear. The sun was warm. And the smell of charcoal drifted across our little backyard. Emily was setting out the lemonade. The kids were screaming with joy, chasing bubbles across the grass. And me? I was by the grill. My wooden grill. My pride. My escape. I pressed down the tongs, flipped the chicken, heard that sizzling sound that makes you feel alive. For a moment, everything was perfect, ordinary, beautiful. But what I didn't know was that this ordinary Sunday barbecue was about to change the way I saw my home, my neighbor, and the so-called community I thought I belonged to. But across the fence, someone was watching. My neighbor, Richard Clark, standing in his yard, not gardening, not relaxing, just standing, his arms folded, his glasses catching the sunlight, his lips pressed tight, like he was holding in something bitter. His eyes weren't on the sky or the trees. They were locked on me, on my grill. I smiled. I waved. Tried to keep it friendly. He didn't wave back. He didn't smile. He just turned away, slowly, like I'd already done something wrong. And that's when the air shifted. That's when I realized some people don't need a reason to hate you. They just need smoke. Monday morning, coffee in one hand, I walked down the driveway. The mailbox creaked open. Bills, ads, coupons, and then a white envelope with bold black letters. HOA. I ripped it open. My eyes scanned the page, and I froze. This letter serves as a formal warning. A violation has been recorded against your property. Reason: smoke nuisance caused by backyard grilling. Further incidents will result in fines. My heart skipped. A violation? For grilling? In my own backyard? I looked around. Neighbors walking dogs. Cars pulling out for work. Everyone acting normal. But me? I was holding proof that normal didn't exist here. Not anymore. I called the HOA the next morning. A calm voice answered. Too calm. Linda Harris, HOA president. How may I help you? I explained the letter. I told her there had to be a mistake. That it was just one barbecue. That I wasn't hurting anyone. She didn't laugh. She didn't soften. She said, rules are rules, Mr. Miller. If smoke drifts into another property, it is a violation. If it happens again, fines will be applied. Her tone wasn't professional. It was sharp, final, like she had already made up her mind, like she wasn't just enforcing the rules. She was enjoying it. And for the first time, I realized this wasn't about smoke. It was about power. I thought maybe, just maybe, this could be solved like neighbors. So that evening, I walked across the street, knocked on Richard's door. He opened it slowly. His glasses slid down his nose. I smiled, tried to sound calm. I said, hey, Richard, listen. If the smoke bothers you, I can move the grill. Adjust the setup. No problem. But instead of thanks, I got venom. He snapped. This isn't about smoke. It's about respect. You think you can do whatever you want. But this community has rules, and I'll make sure you follow them. Then he slammed the door. Hard. The kind of slam that makes the walls shake. That's when I realized he didn't want peace. He wanted war. I tried to let it go. Really, I did. The next week, I grilled again. Smaller portions. Less smoke. Just burgers. Nothing dramatic. The kids are laughing. Emily was sipping lemonade. It felt normal again. Until another envelope. Another violation. But this time worse. A fine. $500. $500. I stared at the paper, my hands shaking. My wife's voice cracked. Jake, what are we going to do? I didn't answer. Because I knew. This wasn't about barbecue anymore. This was about control. And if I didn't fight back, I was going to lose more than just money. I was going to lose my home. I wasn't stupid. I knew what was happening. Richard didn't want smoke gone. He wanted me gone. But I also knew if I fought back with just words, I'd lose. The HOA loved paperwork. Proof. Evidence. So that's what I needed. The next weekend, I didn't grill. I sat in my backyard, phone in hand, pretending to read the news. But really, I was waiting, watching, and it didn't take long. To my left, the Johnsons fired up their gas grill. Thick smoke drifted over their yard. Behind me, the Parkers threw on steaks. The sizzle was loud enough to hear from across the fence. To my right, the Rodriguez family lit charcoal. Real smoke. Heavy smoke. More than mine ever made. And I filmed it all. Every puff of smoke. Every laugh. Every burger flip. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with Emily. We watched the footage. She whispered they all grill. Everyone does it. But they're not getting letters, are they? I shook my head. My jaw tightened. No, just us. And in that moment, I stopped being afraid. I stopped being polite. I stopped being the guy who just wanted peace. Now, I wanted war. The HOA meeting was coming up. The kind where everyone in the neighborhood squeezes into one stuffy clubhouse room. Usually boring. Usually about budgets and landscaping. But not this time. This time it was about me. The week leading up to it, I prepared. I printed out every violation notice. Highlighted the words. Circled the threats. I made copies of the photos. The videos. Proof that everyone grilled. Proof that I wasn't the problem. At night, Emily would sit across the table, watching me spread papers everywhere. She'd whisper, "Jake, are you sure about this? What if they come after us harder?" I'd look at her, at our kids sleeping upstairs, and I'd answer, "If I let them win now, what's next? No bikes, no chalk drawings, no laughter after 8 p.m.? If we don't stop this, we won't be living in a neighborhood. We'll be living in a prison." And she'd nod, because deep down, she knew I was right. The night before the meeting, I stood in front of the mirror, rehearsing. My hands shook, my voice cracked, but I kept going, because I knew tomorrow wasn't just about barbecue. It was about dignity. The day came. The clubhouse was packed. Folding chairs lined the walls. Neighbors fanned themselves with papers. The air smelled like coffee and tension. Linda Harris sat at the front, clipboard in hand, lips tight. Richard Clark sat in the second row, arms crossed, face already red. He looked at me like I was dirt. When my name was called, I stood. My heart pounded. My hands trembled. But my voice was steady. I said, "I've received multiple violation notices. For smoke. From grilling. But I have evidence. Proof. Others grill every weekend. Yet only I get fined. Only I get threatened." I held up photos. Videos. The room leaned forward. Neighbors whispered. Some nodded. Some frowned. And then Richard exploded. He shot out of his chair, face purple. His voice cracked the air. "Because you think you're special. Because you think the rules don't apply to you." He jabbed a finger at me, spitting the words. "You've disrespected this community since the day you moved in. Your kids run wild. Your music's too loud. And now your damn smoke. Someone had to stop you." The room went silent. Neighbors looked at each other. Shocked. Confused. Some whispered, "Wait, kids. Music? This isn't about smoke." And in that moment, Richard showed his cards. He wasn't protecting the community. He was just targeting me. Linda Harris tried to restore order, banging her pen against the clipboard. But the damage was done. The room had seen his anger, his obsession, and for the first time, I felt the tide turn. The HOA showdown had begun. Neighbors packed the hall, whispers filling the air. Richard clutched his folder of complaints. His voice thundered, accusing Jake of breaking the rules. But when Jake stood, calm, steady, and asked why others were grilling too, the room fell silent. Then, a ripple of laughter. Richard's face burned red with fury. Richard snapped. His voice cracked, his anger spilling into the room. Neighbors shouted back, reminding him of every petty complaint he'd made. Christmas lights, kids playing, even garden gnomes. His image shattered before their eyes. Jake stood steady, his words cutting sharp. Richard exploded. He stormed out, slamming the door. And for the first time, the neighborhood was quiet. The board closed the meeting. The neighbors applauded. But Jake knew this wasn't a victory. Not really. It was a truce. That night, in his backyard, the grill was cold. The air was still. He stared at the dark house beyond the fence. And in that silence, he realized the HOA war might never truly end.